right, hey guys, what's going on? It's Coach Will. In this video here, I want to answer a question I got from a client in our program, a gym owner who's been running some Facebook ads over the last 3 months, and he had some really good questions, and so I'm recording this video for him to answer his questions, but also to educate, train, inform anybody running Facebook ads or running paid acquisition for their business or for their gym to better understand the platform, the numbers, and how to improve those numbers, because it's really not that uncommon of a question these days. Most businesses are running ads, and there's usually two questions. It's either, hey, I'm not getting leads at all and it's not working, and in that situation it's often because you don't know what you're doing with the ads platform that you're on, and you probably need some professional help and either being trained on how to do it right or someone to do it for you. Or the other question is more in alignment with what we're talking about here today, which is that like we're getting leads, but there's not, it sounds like based on the question, and I'll go over his question, that it's not a good, his expectations are a little bit off as to what he was expecting, and then B, probably does need to make some improvements in his system and in his process. So we're going to go over those things so he can get those questions answered for himself. So George's question here, he said, what can we do better? He said, good morning everyone, we've been running Facebook ads for the past 3 months and have received 105 leads in total. A few things we're noticing. Number one, very hard to get a hold of these leads. We call them immediately twice, text and try again the next few days, and it's hard for them to answer. Number two, for the ones that answer and schedule appointments, even when we call to confirm, we get 30% show from the ones that we get set. Number three, we have closed 10 clients in those 3 months. Sadly, that's not the number we expected, especially given the cost overall to run the ads. He asked here, wanted to get your thoughts on these leads and if we should try some other ads outside of FB, Instagram, or other platforms. We are still trying to grow organically as well. Thanks in advance for the help. So first, I want to give a shout out to George for, getting out there and starting to broaden his skill set in regards to how he's doing client acquisition for his gym. That's George came onto our program and really had like flatline. His business is flatline. So he's run some ads and he's got about 10 new clients. Now, he did send over in that video or in that picture, he sent over like a screenshot of his results. So just going over that, looking at it, looks like he spent in that period of time, let's see, about $2,000 on ads. Okay, so he spent $1,963. Looking at his ads, it looks like he ran a lot of different variations of things that are outside of the framework that we gave him, and he also ran some of our stuff that we gave him alongside it. Now, our stuff that he gave him, looking at his cost per lead, did drastically outperform the stuff that he ran. Some of our IP that we give our gyms is, done for you. So we're giving them imagery and media and stuff to put in their ads and showing them how to set that all up. And it looks like the stuff that he ran that was given, because we've tested it with like millions of dollars of ads spent across like several hundred locations, it's performing the best, of course. And then the stuff that he's running is probably performing at about a 70% higher cost per lead. So first thing I would say is like, stop running that ancillary stuff or keep testing additional ancillary media. If you're going to run additional media outside of the stuff that we give you or the stuff that's provided and proven, then you should keep testing additional stuff. Don't just run one piece and then when it stops working, stop iterating, right? Like in order to find the media that we give our gym owners, we have literally run like thousands of ads with thousands of different images to find like the top 3 or 4 that work to give our gyms. So out of the box, right? So that's the first thing I would say. It sounds like he's doing good follow-up. So if I were to address the follow-up, a very typical issue we have with gyms is they just don't do the follow-up. They just don't realize how much work it's going to be to follow up with all these leads. Now, he spent $2,000 on ads and he's generated 10 new clients. Now, 10 new clients for $2,000 is a $200 cost per acquisition, which is actually, I would say it's a little bit high. I would say it's a little bit high for a gym, but it really does depend on your market. Now, some markets for local businesses, it can be a honey hole. You can be getting cost per lead down around like $3, $4, $5, which, if you're closing, say the percentage of leads you should be, then you can get the clients at a very low cost. So like to talk about close rate, when we're working Facebook ads, just to answer George's question directly, so when he watches this video, and for anybody else wondering, like what percentage of leads should you be closing off of Facebook? It's about 10 to 15% max. 15% if you're really good. So if you think about that in terms of numbers, what's 15% of? Well, that's that's 1 out of 7 people you talk to. So that means if you get 7 leads on Facebook and you close 1, you're doing a fantastic job. In fact, that would be way better than average. The average, I guess not average, I would say a good number is probably like 10%. If you're closing 10% of your leads on Facebook, that's 1 out of 10. You're doing pretty good. So George here generated, 100 leads for the $200. He closed 10, so he closed 10%. So he's closing at a good rate, actually. His cost per lead is actually just high because he's paying, around $20 a lead based on those numbers, right? So he probably needs to get rid of some of those versions that are costing him more, because when I looked at his numbers, he had our stuff down closer around $10 to $13 per lead, which is still a little bit high, but I would say it's actually average these days. And then the stuff that he was trying to run, the media that he was trying to run, his own stuff that wasn't performing that well, was $23 to $24 to $25, right? So that's mainly what caused, and because he only had so much to spend, he got a lot less leads for the money because his cost per lead was much higher with those lower performing ads. So he needs to go in there and audit his ads and remove those ads that are not performing well and put more budget into duplicates and clones and variations of the ones that are working. Because what he did was he ran our stuff, it worked well, and rather than clone that same one and run it again, which is the smart thing to do, is just keep it simple and run the same thing. He changed it to versions of stuff that he thought would work based on this. And talking to him, maybe he'll clarify that was different than what I'm seeing here, but it looks like what had happened. And you should really only make small adjustments to this stuff, right? So he, rather than run the same image and try a slightly different piece of text, he just, or take our image and maybe make a version of that image that looks more personal to his gym by you could take it on Canva and put a frame around it and put some text on it. He just chose a totally different image altogether. And then the images that he chose, rather than just test the image just by itself, he chose images and put text in the image. And as a result, if you put text in an image, you change its effectiveness. Generally, like, putting text in images on Facebook, in my experience, has not improved conversion rates of those ads. It actually lowers the conversion rates of those ads, because, like, the imagery should just be something that gets them to stop, right? Like, it should just be, like, that's, and people will ask, like, well, shouldn't I use something that's unique to my business? Shouldn't I use something that's like a picture of one of my members? It's like, well, no, you shouldn't. You should use what gets people to stop, because, like, what's funny is we've had gyms run, like, we've tested it with thousands of images over the years with our gyms, stuff that we felt really, really good about, images of, like, our members that we thought were, like, the greatest images ever, and then it flopped, right? And then, like, just in the process of taking a lot of different images in the gym, we had random photos that, like, were mixed in that, like, were not the best photos, but we would just test them. We'd be like, let's see how this one does, and, like, sometimes those ones would be the winners. And it's funny is the media that we give our gyms in our program, for our ads program, it's stuff that we've come across from, like, running ads for lots of gyms, and, like, a lot, and I'll be honest with you, they are not, like, the fanciest pictures. They and, like, a lot of gym owners will get concerned, like, do I have to worry about, like, that doesn't even look like my gym or my members? It's like, well, when's the last time you remember someone clicking on what's the last ad you remember clicking on? And they'll say, oh, I bought a mattress on the internet. And I'll be like, do you remember what the picture was in it? Do you remember, like, the person in the picture? Do you remember, like, was it a boy, girl, female, male, how old they were? And they're like, no. And I'm like, exactly. No one remembers what they click on the ad. So all that matters is that it works and it gets them to click, because they're going to go through from there. That image goes away and it goes to whatever page you send the traffic to, right? So that's important to remember, okay? It's like, don't mess with the media. Don't mess with what works, okay? Number 2, like, for him, stay on top of the follow-up game. He's obviously doing a very good job of follow-up. You're getting a 10% close rate here, George. Can you improve that close rate to, like, 12 to 15%? Sure. Maybe there's sometimes you could be faster. Maybe you could be, maybe there's some improvement in there somewhere. But honestly, it doesn't sound like that's the issue. And then last, I would say just adjust expectations. I mean, you have 100 leads and you close 10. That's a 10% close rate. That I would say is average for a Facebook ad. And then last thing I would adjust expectation on is, like, what a return is, right? So he's saying, I closed 10 clients in those 3 months. And he's saying, sadly, that's not the number we expected. So it sounds like he's taking this very, very negatively, as if, like, as if this failed. This is actually not a failed campaign. This is actually a successful campaign, because for this gym, if he keeps these clients safe, even just for 1 year on average, say he has a handful of them stay for 18 months, a handful stay for 6 months, and there's a handful that stay for 12 months, on average, most of these members are going to stay members for 12 months, right? And if they all pay, even on the low side, this gym, he's a CrossFit gym owner, and most of those gyms charge at least $150 a month. So if I were to pull up my calculator here and just do some quick math here, 12 months at $150 a month, that's $1,800 in revenue that gym is going to receive. And that would be on the low side of retention rate for most gyms. Most gyms, if your product is good, if your service is good, if you really are taking care of these members, they're going to stay usually as long as they live in the area. Most people don't want to switch gyms, and that's usually like a 2-3 year time span. So in reality, you probably actually have, a $3,000 or $4,000 client for every one of these that you signed up, right? So if George does his math, 10 clients, even at the low end of like 12 months at $150, $1,800 each, that's $18,000 in revenue his gym should receive over the next 12 months, and he only spent $2,000 on the ad campaign. So he spent $2,000 on the ad campaign. He's going to make $18,000 over the next 12 months. That's a 900%, a 9x return on his money in a 12-month period. There's not an investment that you could put $2,000 into on the planet right now that would get you a 900% or a 9x return on your money. And he did that. So I think part of it's adjusting your expectations and playing the long game, and understand that like acquiring customers costs money. Now, was George's campaign a little out of KPI on the cost? Sure. I bet if we focused on the ads a little bit better and we dialed in those ads a little bit more, we have our ads cohort that we run for our gyms where we'll just run the ads for you. George is running the ads campaign that we gave him. He's not in our ads cohort. He's in our pro group, which we just give him the ads, and you have to set them up on your own. If in the ads cohort, he might really, really benefit from us just running the ads for him. And that way he doesn't have to worry about like scaling the cost like this, because it sounds like that's where he might have fumbled a little bit here. Now, if that's not worth it to him, then that's where he should focus on improving the numbers. For me, the cost per lead was the high part. That's where he was a little bit out of line. That's where he needs improvement. Otherwise, his follow-up was great and needs to keep doing that. His close rate was actually good. And if he gets the cost per lead down, he's ultimately going to get more leads, which means for the same money, he's going to close more people, right? Because his follow-up's good and his close rate is good. So that's what George should focus on. And if you're running Facebook ads, that's probably what you should focus on as well, because honestly, that's the name of the game. It's a numbers game, really, right? It's like, what's our cost per lead? What's our booking rate? He is saying that his show rate is low. That is one more thing before we close out here I'll address, because I forgot to address that. But he said, our show rate is low, and I have a 30% show rate. It should be closer to 60 or 70%. So the question I would ask George, and he didn't say this or not, but like if I had to guess, if it's 30%, he's probably not confirming the booking, right? So once you get a booking, like a lot of business owners, when they get leads and they book that person to go and do a visit or an intro or tour or whatever the thing is that they're selling, go quote something or give an estimate on something or whatever the case may be, they don't often call and confirm the appointment booking. They'll call the lead to get them booked. They'll do good follow up in the booking in the appointment setting process, but they won't do good follow up in regards to the appointment confirmation process. And you can double your show rates just by calling when the lead books their appointment. So if they book on their own without talking to you, then go ahead and just call them and say, hey, I saw you just booked an appointment with us. I just want to call and just introduce myself real quick and let you know that I'll be the person meeting with you, and then I have this time set aside on my calendar to meet you on Friday at noon. I just want to make sure that you have it blocked on your calendar, because I have this time set aside for us. I just want to make sure that you're going to be there. And like when you say that, people look at that as a courtesy of like hey, this person's just doing the job, making sure they're not wasting their time, right? That will double your show rates. And then I would also call the day of the appointment. I would call the morning of and say, hey, we have our appointment today. Just want to make sure we're still on. I'm just confirming all my bookings so I can have my day planned out. If that's cool with you, just confirm with me. And like, so I would venture a guess that if he's showing at only 30%, that's why he needs to do better follow-up on the sales end and confirm that appointment. So that's it for today, guys. Hope you found this video useful. If you are a gym owner and you want to grow your gym and get better at marketing, generating more traffic, apologize, there's a garbage truck literally pulling up into my video here. If you want to generate more leads, book more intros, sell more, close more new memberships, and keep them longer, go to biglittlegyms.com and fill out the form to book an intro with us. We will call you and confirm your booking, and then we will meet you on the call. We'll show you how you get started, discuss your current situation, your desired situation, what your goals are, and show you how we can help you get there. Thanks, and have a great day, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.